So if we do this, the proper Dustin Ortiz interview, it only can last 15 seconds. Right?
Max.
Just like your last fight.
I went back and watched. It was 14 seconds, but who's counting?
They're ripping you off out of a second.
They are. Somebody is.
How many times have you gone back to watch it?
Well, since it's only 14 seconds long, I've watched it like 500,000 times.
How cool is that, man? I mean, what was it like to get a finish like that? I mean, needed to rebound, obviously, and to do it in a way like that.
It was perfect timing. You know, the punch was perfect timing, but the timing of the fight coming off of what had just happened to me, it was perfect. You know what I mean? It was undescribable because it happened so fast, and it's something that you see on TV, but you don't think it's gonna happen to you, and then when it does, it's just like, I was speechless, man. I was speechless until I went back and watched it, and I was like, my name is in history, you know. So it's like, it was a huge accomplishment. I
mean, do you wish there was a way to kind of bottle that feeling and that energy that you had from that and be able to pull it out whenever you want it?
Absolutely. You know, it's almost like drinking a cup of coffee. A couple minutes later, you feel it. You know what I mean? So it's here in my heart, it's in my mind, in my body. I carry it around, and when I need a little bit of extra, like, man, let's get going today, I think of that and just kind of ponder on it and let it motivate me from the inside out, and it gets me going.
Talk about what that did for your morale. I mean, I know you said that was a huge win for you from a timing standpoint, but from a morale standpoint, obviously you needed to rebound from the loss. Your one win that you had in the few fights prior was a split decision, I think, right? So what does a win like that do for you in terms of moving forward career-wise?
It was a perfect drop of reassurance. You know what I mean? Because my career has been like this, and it's just been a lot of ups and downs, and I'm just like, man, I'm waiting for this breakthrough, you know, and mentally I need that breakthrough, and that's what it was. Like, hey, you can do this, you know, and here's an example. Here it is laid out for you. Remember this and carry on that belief and that energy and the know that you can do it, and that's what it brought to me.
When you talk about the downs, how down were some of those downs? Were they bad enough that you ever said, maybe this isn't something that I want to do? They weren't that bad, were they?
Never. When I say down, it's just when you lose, or you know, there's a lot that's involved, you know, that people don't really take into consideration with your friends, your family, your rankings, your pay. You know, when you look at it from the business aspect, and then from the goal is to be the champion. You know, I would hope that that's everybody's goal. That's mine. And when you take a loss, you're that much further from that goal, you know. And then your family, you know, I'm spending time away from mine to be in training camps and stuff like that. So when I train so hard, harder than anybody else, I feel like, and then you come up short, it's you know, it's a low, but never enough to say, oh man, I don't have it, you know. That's never crossed my mind. I'm gonna let my body tell me that.
The energy from a 15-second knockout win, though, has got to be worth quite a few ups, though, right? Quite a few highs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all been worth it. You know, I could go out there and lose a couple in a row and then hang it up, and it'll all be worth it still. It's the passion that I have for competing. You know, something that stuck out to me last week was Jeremy Stevens saying, I'm not in here to be famous and whatever. I'm here to collect my check and take care of my family. And man, I agree. You know, if you're into that, then you need to play that kind of game and be on the social media and the entertainment aspect of it. But that's not where my heart's at. My heart is here for the competition. You know, you can only do this for so long, and while I'm young, I love to take advantage of that. Look back and be like, dude, you're crazy ass. Like, you know, you were in some wars. You were in some, you know, 15, 14-second knockouts. Like, not a lot of people can look back and say that, so that's what I'm in it for. Well,
from a competition standpoint, talk to me about getting the call for this fight, and you know what you and your team thought about the name that's going to be across from you on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's another up and coming guy, and those are the ones that I've been able to, minus Moreno, kind of put a halt and say, no, you're not gonna ride me today. You know what I mean? You're not gonna come in here and and leapfrog me, so to speak. So this is another one of those super tough dudes that I go out there and prove, you know, 11 fights in the UFC. I have experience. I've learned from that, and he's not going to come in here and do what he wants, you know. So it was exciting, you know, especially when they offered it in the States, in Boston. It's like, heck yeah, man, I don't have to travel to China or to some of these other countries where it's not my style. You know, I like to fight here. I like to fight in front of fans, family, friends that, you know, can come. So I got excited.
He's got that nice streak going on paper, but he does have a loss in the Ultimate Fighter House. Have you looked back at his recent fights and his stuff before he was in the UFC and kind of talk about what he brings to the table against a guy like you?
Yeah, I didn't really dig too deep. I watched his last fights, watched the fights on the Ultimate Fighter, and that's really the only ones that matter, is a couple fights back, you know, and how he's evolving through those last couple fights. Because I've watched my first couple of fights, I'm like, whoa, you know, that dude wouldn't last 15 seconds with me now. So if I dig back too far, it's kind of, I don't feel like it really helps that much. But yeah, I've watched his last couple fights. He's just a tough dude. You know, he never takes a step back. He brings it all every single time, and those are the kind of fights that I like. Those are the kind of fights that I get excited for. Somebody who's going to come in, and as his style, I feel like he just likes to bang. So that excites me, being able, I feel like I'm going to be faster than him, a little bit smarter than him, and I feel more well-rounded in every aspect of this sport. So it's just like, man, this is my opportunity to go out there and get another convincing, like, hey, I'm here for the title fight.
Tough dude, like you said, but I mean, if you look up and down his resume, he hasn't been in there with the kind of guys that you've been in there with. Does something like that give you another edge going into this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. And that's one thing that I meant to answer with your question about the lows, is I've fought all the best of the best, you know. So to lose to the guys that I've lost to, Joseph Benavidez, John Moraga, just coming off of a title shot, it's like, how could you, and that was my second fight in the UFC, so how could you be too upset with those wins or losses? How could you be too low, you know what I mean? No, he hasn't fought in the guys that I've fought in, and he hasn't fought in anybody like me, so that gives me a slight of like, hey, I can do this for sure.
Do you go out there and try and top your last one on Saturday, or will you be happy if you just go in there and get a win, or do you need to do it in 13 seconds?
13 seconds for sure. Yeah, I'm going in guns a-blazing. After 13 seconds, then I'll be like, okay, let's just get the win.
Awesome. Appreciate
no,
it.
yeah, I'm always trying to outdo myself. Every fight, every opponent, they all display different, you know, technicalities and different ways to break down everybody. So it's a challenge each person brings in, and always trying to get the finish. Every opportunity, submission, knockout, whatever it may be, working for it.
Awesome.